The Uncharted franchise is about many things, but secrets and treasure might be at the top of that list. Luckily, Mr. Drake and I go way back and he trusts me with all his secrets. In this video, we're talking about a handful of things you may not know about the Uncharted franchise. For more Dude Raider content, make sure to subscribe to GameSpot. For starters, let's talk about the man that initially inspired Nathan Drake's personality. And no, I'm not talking about Indiana Jones, even though he did play a major factor in it as well. I'm talking about Johnny Knoxville of Jackass fame. During a 2015 interview with The Verge, Naughty Dog's Josh Shear revealed early in development there was a version of Nate with a comically emotive face that was partially based on Knoxville. The idea was later scrapped and the team decided to go the more traditional handsome lead character route. And Johnny, if you're watching this, they said it, not me. You're gorgeous. And speaking of gorgeous men, did you know Harrison Ford starred in an Uncharted commercial? If not, that's totally understandable as it only aired in Japan to promote the release of Uncharted 3. In the video, Ford can be seen playing the game's iconic airplane and chateau chapters while whispering "jump" and "grab it" as if Nate can actually hear him. Something we're probably all guilty of. The whole thing feels like watching your favorite grandpa play your PS3 on Thanksgiving.
The action just keeps on coming. I think it's very realistic and very dramatic.
But come on, you've gotta admit, it's pretty cool to see Indiana Jones and Uncharted's world meet for a brief period. I wonder if Harrison Ford plans on seeing the Uncharted movie, a movie that once had Mark Wahlberg as the Nathan Drake role.
What? No.
This casting took place in around 2009 to 2010 when the movie was first trying to get the ball rolling on production. Unfortunately, the film changed writers and directors more than New Jersey changes weather. I swear, one day I'm freezing and the next day, forget it, back to Uncharted. Eventually, Marky Mark dropped off the project and the role was offered to everyone's favorite Italian plumber, Chris Pratt. Fortunately, Pratt turned the role down. And even though Nathan Fillion expressed interest in his role as Drake in the fan film was fantastic, the role was ultimately given to Peter Parker himself in 2017. Some fans thought that Fillion was too old to play Drake, but now fans believe that Tom is too young to play him. Hey, how old is Drake anyway? Well, I'm glad you asked, Devontae. Both Amy Hennig, the game's writer, and Nolan North, the voice of Drake, have revealed in interviews that Nathan is 31 in Uncharted 1. Using some clues from dialogue and assuming the character's age in real time with each game release, that would make our hero 33 in Uncharted 2, 35 in Uncharted 3, and the big 4-0 in UC4. And by the end of Uncharted 4, when we meet Cassie, who is around 10 to 14 years old, we can assume Nate has crossed into his 50s and is officially too old for this shit. But speaking of Cassie, did you know that she was named after Nate's mother, aka her grandmother, Cassandra Morgan? That's right, Nate's last name is Morgan, and Drake is the last name he and brother Sam chose for themselves to honor Cassandra's theory that Francis Drake had heirs.
You ready for this?
Hell yeah.
And here's one more name fact for you. The Drake/Morgan family dog is named Vicky after Victor Sullivan. And while some people might feel disrespected to have a dog named after them, Sully actually gave Nate the okay during the Hidden in Plain Sight chapter of Uncharted 4. And speaking of being hidden in plain sight, let's talk about some Easter eggs that were sprinkled throughout the series. For starters, in Uncharted 1, the wetsuits that Nate and Elena are wearing are from a brand named Ottsel. This just so happens to be the same name as Daxter's species in Jak and Daxter, another game from Naughty Dog. Half otter, half weasel, full Ottsel. In fact, a picture of Daxter can be seen on the sleeve of the wetsuit just in case you needed a little more proof. But that's not the only time Naughty Dog makes a reference to their pre-Uncharted releases. Sully's plane, the Wild Hog, is actually a reference to a level in Crash Bandicoot that shares the same name. It's a level that many fans consider to be very frustrating. Over in Uncharted 3, Naughty Dog did the opposite and made a reference to one of their upcoming games instead. Following the fight in the opening of the game, if you head to the corner of the bar instead of following Sully, there is a newspaper that says, "Scientists are still struggling to understand deadly fungus." This paper was reportedly meant to be taken out pre-release as not to spoil The Last of Us reveal a month later, but clearly it wasn't a big deal. Now, if the headline read something like, "Our next game is a zombie survival game," then that might have been actually worth scrapping. The Last of Us has some references to Uncharted as well, however, you'll have to wait for a things you didn't know about The Last of Us video. Also in Uncharted 3, there is a little shout out to a non-Naughty Dog game in the form of LittleBigPlant's Sackboy. A keychain of the character can be seen hanging in the front of a bus that Nate and the gang make an escape in. And that reminds me, have you ever noticed that Nate always manages to make an escape? The man is very lucky, so lucky that Naughty Dog shows you when he's starting to run out of luck on screen. According to Naughty Dog animator Jonathan Cooper, all bullets flying Nate's way are near misses, not hits. The player's screen turning red indicates Nate's luck running out. He doesn't actually take bullet damage until he becomes an unlucky duck and the enemy gets that one clear shot. This is by far my least favorite Uncharted fact, and I laugh every time I think about it. But I think the reason it seems so strange to me is because so many other games have gotten me used to the idea that red screen equals lowered health from taking damage. I can't hate on Naughty Dog for trying to be a little different. Another fact that you may not have known is that Sam, Nate's brother, was originally a villain of sorts in Uncharted 4. During an interview, Amy Hennig, the game's former director and writer, explained that the Drake brothers had a different relationship in the original script. Hennig said, quote, "I mean, I wouldn't call him the antagonist in the classic sense, but it was an antagonistic force in Drake's life that he had to reconcile. So it was, complicated by stuff coming up from the past. So it's a little different than him showing up and, hey bro, I got a problem."
I'm in a lot of trouble here. What? What are you talking about? What kind of trouble?
Hennig also reveals that Nadine wasn't in her original story at all. So remember kids, anything is possible. Nadine went from not existing to getting her own spin-off with Chloe. But did you know that those adventurous women weren't Naughty Dog's first choice? Sam and Sully were actually first up for the game, but the idea was tossed because of Sully's age at the time Uncharted 4 takes place. Next in line for consideration was Cassie, but the idea was scrapped because the devs didn't love the idea of a teenager mass murdering goons. Thus, the lost legacy we know and love was born.
You have a plan? Yeah. Sure.
And before we close out, here's a bonus fact about Nate. His greatest fear is clowns. According to Nate, those red-nosed humans are a 10 out of 10 on his fear scale. I've never quite understood the fear of clowns, but my fear of bugs are like a 9 out of 10 on my fear scale, so I'll respect it and leave clowns out of my Uncharted fanfiction. But alright, thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you've enjoyed this video at all, and then hit the comment section and let us know if we missed any facts. See you in the next one.